Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rucha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Who Enlargeth His Desire as Hell, ... and cannot be satisfied, ... You know, like in poetry, inside joke. But this lesson is inspired by this quote that I was thinking about, meditating on the other day. And a whole lot of thoughts were coming through my mind, you know, different movies and, you know, different quotes and things of that nature, and just how everything now is leading in this direction. But I had did another lesson, and like I said, I've been just meditating on this this saying here. And what I did was I just typed in the word oppressed or oppress, and then I got a couple of precepts off of that, and then some other precepts that came to mind. Lord's will, this will be an edifying lesson, because as you already know, the World Economic Forum, you see what they're pushing for, and pretty much it's the agenda that's only going to benefit the so-called elite, or the banking families of the earth, and those that are in league with them, those that are related to them, so on and so forth. And the quote I'm speaking about, as you see in front of you, is you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it, in so many words. And that's Klaus Schwab. He said this at the World Economic Forum. And pretty much this is the sentiment for the future. And as I was meditating on that saying alone, I started thinking more and more, because if you're a person in your right mind, you know, if you don't have anything, there's no way you're going to be happy about it. Just put it to you hands down, if you're a person that has some kind of sense in your head. Now, what I thought about was how you see them setting up the system, you know, the UBI, the Universal Basic Income. You know, they got these smart cities. They got these, you know, units going up. And pretty much everything is going online. So it made me think of this particular quote, and how would they accomplish that? And it would be through the Metaverse, as I was meditating on it. You know, because the Metaverse, everything's going to be interconnected. You know, the body of internet. Oh no, IOB, Internet of Body, I think it is. Salaki, I'm screwing it all up. But the Metaverse is a virtual reality space in which users can interact with a computer generated environment and other users, which means that they would put you in a simulated world. So you're thinking that you're there, but you're actually not. And you have movies like the movie Equilibrium, right? The movie like Equilibrium, which I don't remember what year this came out, but in this particular movie, it showed you people that had to take certain doses. I believe it was 3 times a day, either two times a day or 3 times a day. And pretty much this is something that would suppress their feelings. You see? So now with the C-hip, which is the MOTB implanted, they can set it up to where it can release certain things into the system that will suppress feelings and make somebody feel apathetic. So you have the word sympathetic, which means, or empathetic, which means you have feelings, you know, for others, or you have feelings, and then you have apathetics. You know, you have apathetic, and the word apathetic, is no or not, you know, and pathetic is feeling, no feeling. And this is pretty much how they would accomplish you owning nothing and being happy, because they're going to suppress people's feelings with these, medications. I have to say it that way, And this whole metaverse, this virtual reality, simulated world, so to speak, this is what they're trying to do, to plug people into the Matrix, And if those of you that seen the movie Matrix, you know that there was a scene where everybody was plugged in. They had, stuff in their head, where they would be actually plugged in, and you see them that they were actually in these I can't explain word for word what how it is, but they were in these tubes where they were being fed constantly, and then the whole world around them pretty much was a make-believe world. They had no clue or idea that they were actually in one spot. But then the whole reality of what they were going through, right? Like the pod-like capsules, right? The whole reality what they were going through, they were pretty much just in a simulated world. And even Lawrence Fishburne told that to this guy, Keanu Reeves. All right, and that also made me think of the movie Demolition Man. In the movie Demolition Man, you had Sylvester Stallone and Angela, what the hell is her name? Angela something. I can't think of it. Can't think of her name right now. This is her right here. And pretty much what they did was they put on a virtual reality or metaverse, these helmets, these these things that they put on them to simulate a sexual interaction. And when they put the things on, she gave him a towel. She took a towel, so when they get, and it started, when they put that helmet on, it started to feel like they were actually having sex, even though they weren't. So this would be what I was meditating on, that this is how they could accomplish you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it, because they're planning on giving you what? The UBI, Universal Basic Income, which means they'll give you that, but you have to comply by their rules to be on the grid, And like my man Cyrus said in the movie Matrix, he said, I don't want to remember nothing. I don't want to remember nothing. He said, ignorance is bliss. So people will be like in an ignorant, blissful state, because they plan on simulating a world for these people. This is why everything is going online, And we keep telling these other camps that the MOTB is the CHIP and that whole technology that surrounds it, and they continuously buck up against it. So I got a couple of scriptures that I came to mind, and a couple of precepts. Like I said, I typed in the word oppress. We go through them and then, see where it goes. Micah 2:1, then the caption says, woe to oppressors. And who are the main oppressors? The rich men, which come in the form of what? The so-called international bankers and their, flunkies underneath them, their ghouls, their goblins underneath them, which pretty much are running their businesses. Because these guys don't do nothing but collect money. They make decisions and collect money. They're like the kingpins. They don't put in any work. All they do is give orders. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Because in order to come up with a system like this, with the metaverse, to have a slogan like you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it, this takes time and thinking. They have these think tanks to sit down and actually concoct all of this stuff. Do you know how expensive it is to sit down and just pay people just to come up with ideas? And then after they come up with the ideas, set up a whole worldwide infrastructure to accomplish these goals. and it has to do with social, economic, so on and so forth. Places where people live, devices that go into people, setting up those devices, making sure those devices work, setting up an infrastructure where no matter where the person goes, they'll still be online, not being dropped like sometimes when phone calls drop. This takes a whole lot of planning, a whole lot of time, a whole lot of money. So the Lord said, destruction unto those that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it. Why do they practice it when the morning is light? Because they have the power to do so. It says because it is in the power of their hand. And when you look up this word power, which is where we tell you, brothers out there, that the word God means power. When you look up the word power, the power of their hand means what? Allah, which is the way you say God in the Hebrew, right? It says God, God-like one, mighty one. So they have the God-like power to commit these things. Why? Because the earth is given into their hands and they have the money to do so. Like these devils have the money to end hunger, to end famines, to end wars, to make this world a better place, to quote the song, but they're not going to do that because they're the wicked. And their whole thing is about making the world bow down to them. But unbeknownst to them, which they know, but they don't accept, the Most High has a complete amount of Israelites that are part of the elect, men and women, that will not bow down to the image of Baal. And this is what they're not counting on. Because in their demonic warped mind, they're thinking that they're going to get everybody, in this because in this scheme, because the scriptures say, if at all possible, they will deceive the very elect. But why won't they deceive the elect? Because the elect have that special ingredient in them, which is called the thawah in the Hebrew, which is a mark in the book of Ezekiel 9:4 on down, which is the word thawah means exemption from judgment. So that ingredient alone is a program that's programmed within the elect from the beginning of, before the world even began, from the beginning of creation, before the world was even started, that will not allow them to bow down to the will of this man, because they are the ones set aside for the purpose of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Mighty men, men of rank, mighty heroes. So we get the idea. So they have that godlike power in their hand. And here it says God because sometimes you see the word Allah or Allahayim. That is either, though Allah could be referring to the Most High. Allahayim is Yahushai and the angels, which they say Elohim. And you could also apply it to demons. You see? You could apply it to the false gods, these different idols. It all depends on the context of the scripture. So with this godlike power and the devices that they imagined, which is what? The New World Order, their agenda. What do? And they covet fields and take them by violence. Because once this system is set in place, those that don't comply, eventually they're going to get violent. Because the scriptures say they shall be like madmen, sparing none. It says, and houses and take them away. See? And they do what? Houses and take them away. Why? Because the systems that they put in place are designed to take away from the poor, from the middle class, and transfer all that wealth to the rich. This is why from 2020 till this present day, their wealth has more than doubled, tripled, in some cases quadrupled. Hence the name of the lesson. Who enlarges his desire is hell and cannot be satisfied. No matter what, they cannot be satisfied. They will not be satisfied. It says, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Because when you go back in time, whether it's the Israelites or nations or whatever, everyone has the right to provide for their children, for their families, and to leave inheritances to them so that they can continue on the family legacy. But in this case, with this devil, you don't have that opportunity, because what they do is they put such oppression on people and such taxation on people and make their lives so difficult that they could barely live. They could barely sustain themselves. So if that's the case, if you're living like that day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, you're not going to be able to leave any substance to your children. They're going to have to fend for themselves. And as each day goes by, as each month and each year goes by, things get harder and harder, because the monetary system that they have in place is not worth the paper that it's printed on, because it's a false balance. It's fiat money. They say it's money, so it's money. And the only reason why it works is because of the people's belief in it, which goes back to credit. So let's look up this word oppress real quick, and then we'll move on to the next precept. The word oppress in this case is aishak, means to press upon. Right, and oppression doesn't always necessarily have to mean somebody kicking you in the ass, beating you, putting chains on you, making you work. Oppression also comes in the form of financial burdens. That's why it says that, the servant is borrower to the lender. I hope I said that right. No, the borrower is servant to the lender. That's it. The borrower is servant to the lender. So it says oppress, violate, defraud, do violence, get deceitfully, wrong, extort. Because when we go to the book of, let's go real quick to the book of Isaiah 14. And this is a good example, because when you go to Isaiah 14 and 4, when you read the red Bibles that we have, and I'm pretty sure they have it in other ones, man, you know what? You can go ahead and go play with yourself somewhere, man. Fuck out of here. You ain't running from nobody. We've been teaching. What the hell have you been doing? Fuck out of here. Ain't got time for these clowns, man. You gonna run from me? Y'all been running for the last 10 years. First of all, I don't even know who the hell you are. We've been running for you for the last 10 years. Here it is. We've been out there even before, the YouTube era, teaching and dealing with people. And this guy talking about we've been running from the last 10 years. Delusion. Those are just delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Isaiah 14 and 4, inside joke. All right, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, which is who? This is dealing with America. The current king of Babylon right now is this babbling fool, Biden. But whoever the president is in that day, this is also, going to apply to them. And say, how have the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Now, when you look up the word, the golden city ceased, America is a beacon to the world, so she's like a golden city. But again, when you look this word up in the Hebrew, and when you look in the margin of the red Bible, and I'm sure it's in other Bibles, it says exactress of gold. Now, an exactress is the feminine way of saying to exact, or an exactor. Exact could be something precise, right? But exact also means to call in debts, pretty much. It says not approximate in any way, precise, right? Demand and obtain something, especially a payment from someone. So she is the exactress of gold. So how has the exactress of gold ceased? And this is pretty much in their makeup, in their nature. And this is what they do. Now, how do they do this? They do it by way of legislation, and this is what puts the oppression upon people. All right? That's Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. What is a decree? A decree is a law. Decrees are laws, plural. And they're unrighteous. Why? Because they don't benefit the citizens. They only benefit the so-called rulers, which are the international banking families of the world. And they're the lesser echelon, the ones that are below them, that are running these different businesses and operations and, whatever it may be, that are pretty much raking in the dough for the bankers and for themselves. And in most cases, all of those people that are intermingled with each other are all related one way or the other. It says, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. When you prescribe something that is pre-written. Pre is before, scribed is to write. Pre-written. So these pre-written things are things that they actually put into the books, but they were done and set forward in a way that they actually thought these things out, talked about it, maybe used it in other societies, and just brought it upon this particular society. And now what we're seeing is a prescription of laws to the whole world. And that's why, as the name of the lesson is, who enlarges his desire is hell, ... and cannot be satisfied, ... which goes into Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Because the thing about these international banking families, when you go back just dealing with the Rothschilds come from a line of devils that were rabbis, that were into the scriptures, like Moses. I believe his name was Moses Amschel Bauer, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was Moses Bauer. I think he also had a middle name of Amschel, if I'm not mistaken. He was an actual rabbi. So they knew the laws. They knew about usury. When you look up the word usury pretty much means to, I always forget that word, man. Usury is, always forget that word. I always remember the usury part, but then when the other word, I forget. Pretty much when they add more, and you brothers know what I'm talking about. If it comes back, I'll say it. But they know about usury. You ain't supposed to do that. When you lend, interest, the water, brother. I always forget this freaking word, interest, the water, brother. The brother I'm the one I buy came through in the clutch. I always forget that word, interest. So it's usury. They know that that's wrong, but they still use it because interest on a poor person breaks them down to what? To become a slave. And they know this. And when you have nothing else to pay with, fight, you cowards. Where you been at, man? The war's been going on. This spiritual war has been going on. Where the hell you been at? Talking about fight, you cowards. What the hell you think we've been doing we've been on the streets. Where you been at? Mr. Michael Black? I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And now you out of here. So come on with the next one. Or somebody already got you. Somebody already got you. All right, my man Elder, Manatazakba, he sprayed some raid on you. This is the raid. Everybody on the dance floor. Raid. Ooh. All right, Salaka, that was a, song by the Booyah tribe, which they were Samoans, but, they were Jakes. There's no way that them dudes was no goddamn heathens. Those are Israelites, the Booyah tribe. They were some bad mamma jammas. All right, so it says, Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. So the soul which is lifted up, because they are proud, is not upright in them. They are not upright, moral, benevolent people. Those synonyms do not jive with Esau. Now, profane, low, base men, devils, demons, goblins, ghouls. Yeah, now those are synonyms that work with them. All right. It says, yea, also because he what? Transgresseth by wine. What is wine? Wine are their philosophies. And their major philosophy, which is their religion, is what? This new world order, because they don't believe in the Most High. But then you still have these Israelite groups out there that are trying to save Esau. Esau don't believe in the Most High. Esau is not connected to the Most High in a righteous way. He's connected on the left-hand side of wickedness. It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. They're always in everybody else's business. They're all over the earth. You could read Psalm 73 for that. They're all over the earth. And what are they doing? They're pushing their agenda on the people, not because they care about helping the poor of these people, but because they want to extract their resources. And they know the way to do that is to get to the leaders, put in puppet leaders, pay the leaders and some of their cabinet off so that they can in turn say that they're giving money to the country to help, with the poor and the infrastructure, and then have their own companies come in there and build these infrastructures and then extract the resources and money from that nation that's already poor in the first place. This is a never-ending cycle. These devils are parasites, and the main people that they get all the time are the poor, especially the Israelites. It's amazing. Instead of robbing other rich people, or let's say maybe not even the middle class, because the middle class, they got money, but they really ain't got money like that. They don't rob rich people. They always rob the poor. Unlike Robin Hood. Robin Hood took from the rich and gave to the poor. And by the way, Robin Hood was a so-called black man. I know some of you be mad out there. What do you mean? What? That's blasphemy. No. Robin Hood was a so-called black man. All right. It says, neither keepeth at home who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. This is why the devil would make such a statement as, you will earn nothing and you will be happy about it. This is why they would make such a statement like this. And because they got the majority of people around the world, especially here in America, sedated on a plethora of DRUGSs, the people don't have the capability to think, because they're either heavily sedated by those meds, or they are heavily inundated, which is drowning in either debt or the amount of jobs that they have to have in order for them to just barely break even. Some people got to work 2 and 3 jobs. Some people work 7 days a week, round the clock. They might get 2-3 hours of sleep a day. And what that does is that breaks down the immune system, the body, everything. But that's what these devils do. Have people in the state of delirium. Oh, did I use that word? In order to get or exact out of them, their resources. And that's why it says, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. And this is how they oppress the people, by, the oppression of a monetary system. Now, this particular oppressor is the word nagash, which means to press, drive, oppress, exact. See, it goes into the word exact, which we read the word exact, and the word exact is demand and obtain something, especially a payment from someone. All right. It says exert demanding pressure, right? And they put pressure on people. And what is going to be the ultimate pressure? The ultimate pressure is going to be when they roll out the C-hip. And when that C-hip is rolled out, the people are going to be, in a bad situation. Because they're going to be put in a position to where they're going to have to, they're going to have to either comply or die. And a lot of people out there don't have the luxury of knowing the truth. Some people out there are heathens. Some people out there that are Israelites are in a heathen mind state. So they don't have the luxury of the truth, of calling on the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, of asking for the mercies of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They don't have those luxuries. So their mindset is what the world teaches. You got to provide for your own. You got to do this. You got to work hard. You got to go to school. You got to get an education. You got, And meanwhile, all of those things that they do are bringing them further and further into debt, further and further down that rabbit hole, the bad rabbit hole. So Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And it's coming, the ultimate hour of temptation. We've mentioned many things that will lead up to that, but the ultimate hour of temptation will be the C-hip, which is the MOTB, which shall come upon all the world, meaning oikumene, that to try them that dwell upon the earth, meaning the whole entire planet. Because this is a worldwide system, not just one city or one state or one town or one continent, the whole world. Well, I'm not even going to bother with you because I know some roach spray is coming soon. So, anyways, moving on, Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievances which they have prescribed, right? Which are these laws that they're putting in place, which is really goes into the draconian laws that they're putting in. That's why it says in Revelation 13 that he spake as a dragon. He appeared like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon, because their words are smoother than butter, but war is in their hearts. Ooh, the brother came through in the clutch. Psalms 21:11. For they intended evil against thee, right, against the children of the Most High. They imagined a mischievous device, and the Lord says he's gonna stop their enterprise, which they are not able to perform. You're only going to get so far. You're not going to get off the ground. When you set the table and you start sipping a little wine and maybe take your first bite, that's when the Lord is going to rain it upon you. The Lord's going to rain on you devils. I mean, it's supposed to, you're going to rain on you warriors, but the Lord's going to rain on you devils, man. It says, Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for the lessons, for the inspiration to be able to do these lessons. And that's pretty much what the word is for. It's for the comfort of Israel, for the warning, admonition, rebuke when needed, and building up. Putting that healing power of the herbs of the word, to heal the weary. So it says to turn aside the needy from judgment, see? Because the ultimate judgment comes from the Most High. But Esau is trying to replace the Most High and put himself in that position because he has the power now. And since the Lord gave him all different type of technology, he's saying, the hell with the Most High. We don't need him no more. You see? And to take away the right from the poor of my people, because ultimately the main threat to this agenda are the Israelites. Now, why is that? Because Esau sold his birthright and got his blessing taken away from him by Jacob. But it was his always from the beginning. Because before the children were even born, the Lord already set it up to where Jacob was going to get it. Because you got people that get up and say, well, Jacob is a robber. I mean, he's a thief, man. He stole it. But it was already set up that way. So why don't you get mad at the Most High for doing that? The Most High is the one that did it. Who has resisted his will? But you have these saps out here. You know, these zips in the wire. You know, that get mad because Jacob did what he did. But that was the Lord that set that whole thing up. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own ways? That widows may be their prey. And this is what they're doing. They're making the Israelites a prey. This is why you had them rats out there. I believe that was in New York. You know, a couple of years back. They were going to Jake neighborhoods. Well, actually to neighborhoods where there were certain houses that they wanted to buy. They would bring bags of money. Here, take this. Sell us your home. You know? Because they're trying to make Jake a prey. And what you all have to understand is that these small hats are the parasites of the world. You see? And that's the main, the main driving force. Amalek, that's the main driving force of this agenda. You have a lot of people that say, well, no, it's not a, small hat, the J word, conspiracy. There's other nations. Yeah, but who's running it at the top? Anyway, and that they may rob the fatherless. See? That's why the devil said you will own nothing and you will be happy about it. Because they plan on robbing the fatherless. They plan on making the people a prey, the people of the Most High, the poor. So going back, it says, who enlarges his desires, this is Habakkuk 2:5, who enlarges his desire is hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people, as well as their substance also. You see? Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? Because these nations are starting to wake up to the madness. This is why you have uproars of the people all over. Protests are everywhere. Burning down of buildings and cars and, just all kind of violence going on because of the oppression that the people have been subjected to. The only ones that ain't flipping out is Jake. My goodness, man, when the Lord brought us down, he brought us down. Everybody else is popping off and jumping and, and doing this and that and the other. And Jake will rise for a little bit, then they'll go right back to that crouching old lion spirit. Damn, that's a lesson there. That crouching old lion spirit. God damn. It says, and to him that ladeth himself in with thick clay, to lade yourself means to be pickled in it. All right. And the thick clay goes back to the Hebrew word ibatyat, which means heavy debt. That's a heavy debt. So let's move on. We could read more. This whole chapter is beautiful. Deuteronomy 28:33, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Right. This happened in different captivities, but it also happened in America under the sharecroppers and even prior to that, when you had, the so-called Latin tribes or Indian tribes who had their lands taken from them. Their resources taken from them. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. And that's the point. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. And this has been the way of life for us going way back. All the way up until today. Modern day, what is today? Today's October 5th, 2022. The year of the year of Yahweh B'Shem Shai turning up. All the way to this day, we've been oppressed and crushed always. Because the Lord said, when you read further down, that they shall be the head, we shall be the tail. They shall lend to us, we shall not lend to them. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see, right? That's why you see a lot of Jake that's in the hood that have that hopeless mindset. Because it's a never-ending cycle. The fathers, the sons, the nephews, the uncles. It's a generation after generation, of living in the same condition, subject to the same things, whether it's drugs, whether it's sticking people, your own people up, killing each other, ending up in jail. It's like a never-ending cycle. It's pretty much like a never-ending cycle. It's like a Twilight Zone episode. You wake up one day, you see the hood, you see Jake doing what they're doing, selling drugs or whatever the case may be, using drugs, killing each other, going back and forth to jail. 10 years later, same shit going on. Another 10 years later, same shit going on. 20 years later, same shit going on. It's a never-ending cycle. And those are part of the curses. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with the sore botch that cannot be healed. You got your gout, you got your inflammation, your rheumatoid arthritis. These are all curses. From the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head, right? And you see that. You see Jake walking around catching hell. Ankles all swelled up, legs swelled up. Diabetes, losing limbs, health all effed up. This is all a part of the curses. So when we go to Job 35:9, it says, by reason of the multitude of oppressions, they make the oppressed to cry. Right, because it's a gradual, continual thing. That being in debt is just a constant, never-ending cycle also. And they continuously add stuff and cheapen the money even more and more. It says, they cry out by reason of the arm of the mighty. All right. And the Lord hears it. When you go to James, the 5th chapter, the Lord hears the cries of the poor, of Jake. All right, so let's go from there to Job 20:15. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Why? Because they have the slogan, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it. Why? Because all of the wealth that any person in the world owns, they want it all transferred to these devils because they cannot have enough. They are greedy. And even when they have all, guess what? They're still going to want more. He shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. Right? Because the same things that you're doing is what's going to cause you to fall. The same actions that you're committing are going to be the same things that bring you down. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. Right? Because this is what they wanted. They want to get to a point where they have everything and everybody under their control. But you're not going to see it. It's going to be within reach, but it's going to be far away. That which he labored for shall he restore. And what does he have? The whole world. So he has a lot to restore. And shall not swallow it down. Right, because they're not going to get to enjoy the fruits of their demonic labor. According to his substance shall the restitution be. That's when we're going to get true reparations. When the Lord brings this devil down. Not before that. And he shall not rejoice therein. Yeah, because he has everything, but he's not going to be able to enjoy it like he plans on enjoying it. Because he hath oppressed. This is why. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor. It keeps going back to that. Because how have these international banking families and others, How have they been getting more and more of their wealth? By exploiting the poor, oppressing the poor, exacting it from the poor. And you would think that they would have a heart, said, "Now we got enough. Let them, leave them with the crumbs from the table." No, they are heartless. The tender mercies of the wicked are cruel, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. And that's their MO. Take, 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 take. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods, because he's going to be taken out. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, meaning in a position of difficulty when he's at his full. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Meaning the wicked here go back to the laborers. Elder Pastor Hart brought this out. He brought out also the Ibatyat, the thick clay. The word is Aimal. Laborer, sufferer, wretched one. Laborer, workman, sufferer. Toiling, which means working. So every hand of the wicked or every hand of the laborer is going to come upon him. They're coming for his ass. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. What is the wrath of the Most High? Those nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. But when you read further down into this chapter, it speaks about it speaks about the missiles. This chapter doesn't really mention the chariots, but we know by other precepts that they're going to be there. But this right here, the fury of the Most High, is in this particular chapter is dealing with the missiles. All right. And when he's about to just sit back, relax, and chill, kick back, enjoy the fruits of his demonic labor, that's when the Lord's going to get him. And the last precept is James 5:1. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you, because you've caused a lot of pain. You've caused a lot of tears to drop from eyes. You've caused a lot of chaos, a lot of turmoil, a lot of loss, a lot of death, a lot of hunger, famine, and many other things you have done to people in the world, to animals, to the earth itself, to the water, to the air, and most of all to the children of Israel, the people of the Most High, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And you gots to pay. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Meaning what? The way you got them is corrupted. You didn't get it by right. You didn't get it by hard work and dedication. You got it by thievery. You got it by rape, pillaging, deceit, oppression, and all of the other synonyms that go along with it. Your gold and silver is cankered, same thing, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, right? Because now the rust of how you got everything is being a witness against you. That's why the Lord said he will spew shameful spewing on your glory, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Why? Because that's how your whole system is going to go down, by way of fire. Because remember, America is the catapult for the agenda of the NWO. And this place is going to go up in smoke. And shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Right. In the book of Habakkuk, it says that woe to you, because you have gathered these things to set your nest on high, so that you can live good for many, 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 many years to come, because you thought that you were going to continue forever to every generation. But that ain't the case. Behold, the hire of the laborers, going back to what? The Job 20, where it says wicked, the word Aimal. The hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. Because technically, according to the law, which they know, you're supposed to get, when you work, at the end of that day, you're supposed to have money in your pocket every day. They're supposed to pay you every day. If you work on a job and let's say you make $100 a day, at the end of the day, you're supposed to have $100 in your hand every day that you work. Here, they make you wait a week. Sometimes they make you wait a week and a whole. Some people work, they get paid bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. And then you withholding money through these different taxes that are unlawful. When you go back to World War II, you had a liberty tax to help the war along. And after the war, it was supposed to be taken off, but it never was taken off. They just kept going with it. That's how the devil operates. And when you look up income and you look up wages, there's two different definitions. Income tax is not wage tax. You cannot tax wages. You could only tax income. Income is based off of capital that you invest. Wages are based off the labor that you do to get paid. Look it up. There's a case. I don't remember the name of the case. There's a case that actually distinguishes between wages and income. It's been so long, I don't remember the name of the case. If any brother remembers, we've brought it out before many times. If any brother remember, you could put it up on the comment section. It says, which is of you, let's read it again. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, meaning the Lord of the armies. So the Lord is hearing it. You have lived in pleasure on the earth, right? You fared sumptuous. You are that harlot, that you are that harlot that was arrayed in red and purple, and been wanton, right? You lived deliciously, you lived in pleasure, and you've been wanton, you've been undisciplined. You have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter, right? Like when you have a feast and there's plenty of food because you just slaughtered a particular lamb or ox or whatever. That's how they're nourishing themselves. They're feasting. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Why? Because we don't have the power to fight back. This is why we have to wait for the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai. This is why King David said, who will lead me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Shall not you, O Lord, which didn't go out with our armies? So the Lord is the one that's going to give us, revenge on our enemies. This is why the very first peoples that Yahweh Shai is coming to visit are who? The Edomites. Because Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So that was, something that came to mind the other day. As I was waking up, I was thinking about this quote because there was a series of other things that were going, through my mind. And this is one of the quotes. And then it led to the metaverse and, the putting into people certain substances that'll make them pretty much apathetic, paying them the UBI, Universal Basic Income, putting them in these smart cities, setting up the infrastructure for them to accept the MOTB, which is the CHIP, so on and so forth, and pretty much, bringing or continuing on with this because that would make the population of the world their slaves, perpetual slaves. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom.